Hello everyone, TARDIS Guy 123 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Brain of Morbius. So, this is quite an interesting story. It features the 4th Doctor and Sarah. Sorry about that. And it's in the 13th season, which people often say is the best season, or one of the best seasons. It's pretty high up there on a lot of people's lists, and I quite like it too, from what I've seen, but I haven't seen all of it. I'm yet to see The Seeds of Death and Planet of Evil, but I have seen the other 4. And to be honest, at the moment, this is my least favourite. I know a lot of people say it's the android invasion that's the worst. Not necessarily as in a bad thing, they just say it's a good story in a great era. Whereas, for me, I think it's great. It's not 8 out of 10, a lot of the other ones are 9 or 10 out of 10. This one for me is 7 out of 10. Now, I've kind of revealed the rating a bit early. Sorry about that if any of you like it when it's at the end of the video. But for me, it's a good story. I do like it. It's just not my favourite of the season. And, yeah, but I think when people criticise the android invasion or defend it or whatever, they would say it would have been a better story if it was in a different era, because it would be overshadowed. For me, I can't really say the same about this, because, well, it's a good story, because the style of it perfectly fits this story, perfectly fit this era, sorry. And, because of the whole Frankenstein thing and whatnot, and it is a good story for its era. So yeah, I think it almost, it's this very gothic horror style. So yeah, I think, oh, sorry about that, just got an email. But yeah, so, what do I think of the episode itself? Well, I think I'll just do a quick synopsis first. Basically, Doctor and Sarah land on a planet called Karn. There's a sisterhood there, and there's also the mad scientist Solon and the servant, and basically he's recreating the creature Morbius, who was a Time Lord, who kind of he was a very bad Time Lord, and he built an army and whatnot, but he was eventually defeated on Karn and sentenced to death, and only his brain survived, which Solon is now trying to create a body for. So that's the basic setup. It's an interesting and, yeah, very Frankenstein-y setup. I mean, the system for Karn is the villagers, Solon is Frankenstein, Condor, I think his name is a servant, and, well, not sure what role the Doctor and Sarah play with it. I'm not too familiar with the Frankenstein story, that's basically all I know. So, yeah, I think, moving on now. Solon, I think, is amazing. He's kind of you can tell Philip Maddock, who's the actor who plays him, and Tom Baker are kind of almost having a face-off, in a way, just who can do better, but I think he really does shine in this. He's probably the best part of this episode, in a way. Just, he really gets this sense of madness, but control across. It's not kind of like an uncontrolled madness, but just controlled madness, in a way. So yeah, Condor is quite interesting. He does kind of get written out quite oddly. I don't know, he's just shot limping around for a while, and then Morbius kills him. And he kind of like has this transformation from good to bad and whatnot. You're not really sure of his motivations and how on earth Solon can convince him to do all the stuff that he does. But, yeah, so Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen are fairly good in this. They're not at their best, I don't think. I think they are better in some other stories, but I think they're not bad at this by any means. I don't think they were ever really bad. But yeah, just, I think it got to that point in the season where they were getting a bit tired. if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's just getting towards the end of Elizabeth Sladen's run, actually. But I think Sarah Jane being blind thing was interesting. I'm not sure whether it's a good or bad thing, but yes, that's that. The Sisterhood of Karn is made out to be quite religious in there. Well, not religious, but like they're tribal and whatnot, and they're quite good. They're made out to be quite believable. But they do have these rather odd flame stick things. I don't know what to think. I think it's a case where the production values let it down a bit. This story often. So, I mean, inside Solon's castle is very well made. Some elements kind of clash, like the gothic horror against this scientific technology, but mostly it works. I think they use the right colour palette. The Sisterhood of Karn's little base thing is I'm not sure what to make of it. I think it's quite odd, but it works. Most of it works in a way. You don't really see too much for it, so it's okay. You do see kind of like elements like the fire swords dotted around the place, but still I think it works. Well, there's the outside. This is quite interesting. It looks like you can imagine it being a 60s set. You can imagine it being from the Web Planet or something. But I mean, at night time, I think they get away with it mostly. At daytime, it's quite pathetic. But it doesn't seem to work for me at daytime. It doesn't seem to get this believable alien planet across. And there is some CSO as well for when Morbius is defeated and he falls. I'm not sure about that ending. It just feels quite odd how he's just driven off a cliff. The mind-bending challenge thing, that was interesting, but it made for a rather anticlimactic and boring climax in a way. And yeah, I think it just didn't work very. I was expecting something more like if you remember in the Three Doctors when John Pertwee faced the Morbius Omega thing. That was what I was more imagining to happen, but no. But I think still that wasn't too good. The Omega versus the Doctor thing. It was better than that, I think. It's still interesting because you can kind of imagine Time Lords wrestling with their minds in a way, but that was what happened in Three Doctors. So yeah, it's just I don't know really. So yeah, I think that basically covers most of the points. I mean, Philip Maddock is amazing. Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen are great in this. They really are. As I said, they're not at their best, but they're not kind of like bad at all. Not by any means. They're just a little bit below what you see them in other stories, which is okay. They can't be on top form all the time. I mean, every actor has that kind of like time on a show. But I mean, if they're still good, then there's no real worry about it. So there are some interesting elements, there are some odd elements. Overall, I think as a spoof of Frankenstein, it works. It's enjoyable, and it's not going to be one that I solely recommend. You must buy it right now, but it's just kind of like one that if you see it for a reasonable price, which probably will be because it's quite an old release on the DVD line, then not quite. Then I think it's around 2008. Then yeah, I'd say if you want to, pick it up. So yeah, that pretty much covers everything. Oh, and also the Sisterhood of Karn were in the Night of the Doctor minis episode. So if you want to find out more about them, I suggest you watch this because this is thoroughly on a story. So yeah, that pretty much covers everything. Now I'll end off the video here.